Welcome to another episode of Covid Convos, where we have real conversations with real people about what well-being looks like in a pandemic. I've got my team here today, Justin and Simon. Would you like to say hi, boys?
Hey, Cash. Hey, briefly.
Hey guys, great to be here. Fired up.
Fired up again. I'm loving this little thing that you've got going on, Griggsy. You're firing me up. And today we have a special guest with us as well, Paul from New Zealand. Paul, tell me, bro, a little bit about yourself. Tell our audience who you are.
Hi, everyone. Lovely to be with you today. So a little bit about myself. My parents are both Tongan. They migrated here, and my brothers and I were born here. I first fell into well-being stuff unknowingly. I did a lit review in my undergrad on motivation, intrinsic motivation in education. I was really passionate about why other people that looked like me weren't achieving at the same rate as everyone else. And I found self-determination theory, looking at intrinsic motivation, and I sort of leapt off from there after graduating, running youth development programs. And then I decided to get into teaching. And it was then when I found positive education, went over to Geelong, and yeah, I've been nerding out ever since. I have two beautiful boys that we are on home holiday with at the moment, and my awesome wife, and who is carrying our third boy, who will join us in 6 weeks after our home holiday. Fingers crossed. Yeah, so that's me.
Oh, well, first off, congratulations, mate. That's massive news. I'm so happy to hear that. And I just want to hear more about, you've said a couple of things there that are really intriguing just in terms of what's happening right now. So first off, having a home holiday, and second off, the prospect of, having a kid during what's happening right now. What does your life look like? How is this affecting you? Everything that's going on?
Yeah, life is good. We are really treating it like a holiday. I mean, of course, it's a bit strange, and like New Zealand being a relatively small community. We talk about, how there's that thing of 6 degrees separation. In New Zealand, it's only 2 degrees. So, we all know someone who knows someone that's been affected by this virus, or the global pandemic and the situation that's affecting us all. So yeah, being in such a small world, we've managed to put ourselves in a neat little bubble where we're not oblivious to what's going on. We love to follow the updates as much as anyone else and find out, what are the numbers today, and what's the government saying today. But at the same time, it's just been so cool to be on holiday with the kids, to wrestle with them and have tickle fights and all that sort of stuff. That side of it I'm really enjoying.
I think, it's something that I've been wanting to unpack, and I wanted to unpack it with Carsten as well. It might just be the fact that the friends that we know from New Zealand just have this amazing equanimity. But I also have to think that it might have something to do with leadership. I'm contrasting Scott Morrison with Jacinda Ardern. And, even the other day, just sitting at home in like her Jamie Jams on like FaceTime, answering the public's questions about every little thing. It's just such a different vibe. It's kind of like mother hen just going, all right, babies, we're going to hunker down. Everything's going to be okay. We've got this. And she just has this way of like making everyone feel safe, but also giving them all of the most critical information. Whereas Scott Morrison changes his mind every 2 seconds. Like, he's adding to our uncertainty. You know what I mean? Has that been your experience? Like,
yeah, look, I have to say most of the media that like covering the pandemic that's not from New Zealand is probably from, you guessed it, our mate over in the United States. So like I'm not completely up with the play with how your government is playing it. I have seen a lot of discontent on social media, comments about, comparisons between the measures that are being taken between Australia and New Zealand. I heard that the haircut appointments have been reduced to sub 30. So, yep, baby steps. Maybe insects, baby steps. But it is what it is. The observations you've made of our leadership, certainly we feel that too. On the whole, like politics can be a really tribal area, and people hesitate to agree with the opposing tribe just because they're from the opposing tribe. Though I think it's really hard for people to objectively, complain or have any bones to pick with the way New Zealand's government has handled it thus far.
Paul, I'm interested to hear, just changing tact so we don't become too political here. A day in your life at the moment, we're talking a little bit about, I guess, the difference in routine before the episode. And I'm interested to hear what a day looks like for you and your family.
Cool, man. So my kids are 4 and 6, soon to be 5 and 6. Our mornings are, very much routine. Like the kids know exactly what the order of things are. We also have taken a chance to sit down with them each day and co-construct, co-design, however you want to put it. But we create a list of things that we want to do today. And there are the must-dos, like the ones that we do every day: get changed, brush your teeth, make your bed, have lunch, all that sort of stuff. And then we fill it in with activities that we and the kids both want to do. And that really varies. We've had, I've mentioned wrestling, so that's often on the agenda. So that fits in somewhere, usually in the afternoon. There's, what else have we done? Lots of art things. We've done a magic show. We've done a science block of time where we've taken out some science kit to do some learning around that. You name it, just everything. Lots of reading. Just the whole smorgasbord. So every day has a very familiar structure. Like the bones of the day are the same, but the meat has a different flavor every day, depending on what kind of holiday we want today to be like. And also the things that when you're on a 4-week holiday, there's a lot of spring cleaning and all that sort of stuff. So we're doing that too. We're making it all work, and thus far, all are happy.
Yeah, sounds really similar to our situation. Being at home with my couple of boys, Paul. We actually enjoy getting together after breakfast and nutting out what we're going to do for the day. I've got a bit of a program for the day, a morning activity, and then a before lunch and after lunch and etc. And it's a bit of fun to sort of fill in the blanks and decide what we're going to do together. And they're getting that sense of autonomy out of it, I think, as well, because I'm letting them sort of take the reins a lot, which is they're really sort of stepping up and seeing the importance of mixing. Not just watching telly every day and having fun, but we try to do a bit of learning and a bit of exercise and whatever as well.
I want to jump back a second, man, because I think we just hit on a little bit of a nugget of wisdom that we can skip over because we've got this poli sci background. But I can imagine it would be helpful to a lot of people, which is this concept of autonomy. I think right now, that advice is getting passed to teachers and parents. Try to maintain some kind of routine or implement some kind of routine. Imagine a lot of parents go about that as in, this is what we're going to do, and you're going to do it like this, and it's going to happen like that. And what both of you described there is a completely different way of approaching these things. Can you just talk a little bit about, why autonomy is important and how that's been working?
Yeah, cool, man. We know through studying the science that autonomy is incredibly important for us to be able to engage and move towards something. If we've got a say in what's happening to us, we're more likely to want to engage in it. And it's bringing to mind, I can't remember his first name, Dr. Green with an E, I think, he's got a framework called Proactive Collaborative Solutions, and it's all about sitting with kids and like when they've got their particularly thinking about kids who have issues with disengaging or emotional flare-ups, sitting with kids when their prefrontal cortex is level and having conversations around, like, let's be proactive about creating a solution to what might flare up later. And so I guess it's also meeting the kids with respect and letting them know that the world isn't happening to you. You're a part of it, and you're shaping the world too, and that's cool. So yeah, my wife and I, my wife's an awesome educator, and so we're quite woke in that regard. And yeah, so we really believe autonomy is important, and there's always walking the balance as a parent, and ensuring that we get the things done that we need to get done. And then there's the work that it takes to ascribe meaning and purpose to the activities as well. So that will, for example, something like brushing your teeth. My kids might not choose that because the activity in itself isn't particularly enjoyable. But when we ascribe meaning and value to that and make it personal for our kids, they can see it too, that it's important for me to look after my teeth, because then I can't enjoy mama's great cooking, if my teeth aren't healthy, that sort of stuff. So then they see the value, then they've got more intrinsic, or, they'll have more autonomy to choose to do that activity when they need to, if that makes sense.
It's unreal that you're able to do some of this stuff with your kids when they're 5 and 6, Paul. Like mine are 8 and 10, and I don't think I was doing it a couple of years ago with them, that's for sure. So good on you. No
worries, bro. I am a thorough nerd. And I tell you, when I read this stuff 15 years ago, whenever it was, it instantly seemed to make sense to me as I applied it to my world. And I've been trying to weave it through my youth development programs and teaching as much as I could. So it's only through being a real geek and working with it for ages. But I love it too. But cheers, compliment received.
So I was also wondering, because Simon, this makes you the perfect control study, right? Because you weren't doing it a couple of years ago, and you're doing it now. Have you seen a difference with your kids from like doing things like the autonomy way versus not the autonomy way? Yeah,
for sure. When you say doing it, Kesh, I should just qualify that a little bit. I try to do it sometimes. But yeah, you see, particularly in the older one, like he even came to me this morning with our little notebook where we've got the sessions broken up across a day, already wanting, with some ideas of what he could put in, what little blocks. Now, some of them we had to have a bit of discussion around and tweak and rearrange and maybe ease back a little bit on some of the, the fun stuff. We'd have a good block around the fun, but we need to still have some exercise or some learning or whatever it might be. But he's really stepping up to the plate too in this, and I think also in this sort of really unsettled, crazy sort of time, giving them the ability to have a bit of control over their day and what they're doing, I think is helping as well.
Yeah.
I think this is a really interesting conversation, because a lot of people out there will be coming across a lot of these questions being, for the first time for many people, at home with their kids, fully responsible for their education. Obviously, a lot of people have got links into their school learning, and there might be virtual lessons going on. But for a lot of people, parents, that is, it'll be the first time they've been actually with their kids. So I was just thinking about the difference that comes with that age span that we're working within. So my kids being 1 and 3, and sort of going right up in this conversation to about, I think you said 10, Simon. So I was just sort of thinking, I was wondering if you guys might want to shoot back at me and either shoot me down or build me up. I was thinking about the idea of autonomy with regards to the age of a kid, and the idea that when they're younger, if you're looking at giving any sort of advice to parents who might be thinking about it with younger kids, you've probably got a little bit more tighter restraints around that autonomy. You might give, for example, okay, we need to do these 3 things. What order do you want to do them in? Or you've got a choice between these 2 activities, that sort of thing. And then the older the kids get, the more you can talk them through why certain things need to occur, and then they can still be allowed to make their own choices. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, roughly, I'm on board with that. With my kids, we roughly went the same way. Obviously, when kids are yet to develop the language and having, in-depth conversations about why brushing your teeth or whatever else is important, you just need to meet your kids where they're at. So yeah, on the whole, I agree with your approach. And I don't know, I think it's tough because I'm guessing we were raised, our generation might have been raised a certain way. And for me, certainly, I had a lot less autonomy from my parents. And so for me, I've always tried to wrestle with and navigate the tendency to parent the way I was parented versus parent strictly to the science that I'm reading, and then realizing that, what everyone else does, there's a whole multitude of techniques and styles, and I'm certainly not one to say that there's one right approach, but the way you're doing it sounds right enough to me. And it's just a lot of it is just figuring out what works for your kids. And the thing that I've figured out the most is that as long as your kids are loved and they feel loved, that's number one, like that connection, that relatedness, to reel back in that theory. Yeah, that's absolutely number one, and the rest will come.
So I love what's happening here, and I don't know if we thought about when we started this was where the conversation was going to go, but since all 3 of you are dads dealing with kids in COVID at the moment, I would love to keep bringing out more of the how, like Paul's small strategy there of co-creating the day with the kids to give them autonomy. And for those that don't know, self-determination theory kind of posits 3 basic human needs: autonomy or control over your life, relatedness, so connection with others, and competence, so feeling like you know what you're doing. So you guys have covered 2 already, making sure that your kids have autonomy and that they're loved and respected and cared for. Is there anything else that you're doing? What other hows? What other tips and tricks can you give to the parents out there right now?
Going back to brushing your teeth, there's a couple of tricks. I think with competence, kids love to feel successful. We all love to feel successful, right? And to figure out to feel that we're competent, we're good at something. And so, I used to play a game with the kids, and I sometimes still do. And I'll say, should we go brush your teeth? No. I'll race you to the bathroom on your marks, and then they're off. They're there in 2 seconds, holding the toothbrush. So they, made it into a game. They wanted to feel good that they're going to beat Papa to the bathroom, and away we go. So these little things, I mean, and sometimes I'll add some autonomy in, you know, particularly if they're tired, they don't want to race. I'll be like, should we brush our teeth? Oh, no. If it's a no night, it'll be like, all right, do you want to walk there, or race there, or ride on my back? Right on your back. All right, so they've got the choices. And we've got the choice that makes them feel competent, not the one that they're going to like stagger and you know, drag their feet. So it's a bit of everything, a bit of relatedness at the same time, a bit of that connection and oxytocin hugging Papa's back. It's good.
Loved having this conversation, man. I think a lot of, well, hopefully our listeners will gain something from it, especially if they're parents. I'm wondering if there's anything else really important that, you know, this crisis has been bringing up for you that you want to talk about while we're here.
There is so much, and yet there is nothing that is more important than everything else. You know, there's just so much to read. Like if you read your emails, you'll have 20 new emails every day from everyone that you've had contact with, you know, every organization that you're subscribing to or using, with an update or tips. So, you know, thinking about how we all like to be helpful and useful. Rachel mentioned that. It's just great to be useful. And, you know, I've had this thing as well. How do I use my strengths? So I think if we just look at, you know, being a well-being consultant, I had the first inkling was, should I produce something? Should I be producing content to help people with their well-being? And I looked out there, and there's just so much content, and I don't want to saturate or confuse people, because that doesn't help people's sense of autonomy when there's just so many things going on. So I started in my circle. So with my own whānau, with my wife and kids, with our family groups that we have on chats, and not necessarily creating and sharing content with them, but starting little things that spark high quality connections with family. Some of you might have seen, my friends would have seen on my Facebook page, my son made a gratitude video and made a challenge. He asked people, what are you grateful for? And it was just that kind of wanting to connect with people, and also savor something good, and also bring awareness to gratitude, and hashtag Thankful Thursday. Get on it. Hashtag Thankful Thursday. And then beyond that, you know, my wife and I are going to host some board games. We're going to trial it, never done it, with our friend group and our family groups. So just little things to rally our circles, our own social circles. And that's something easy. Like I'll share on my Facebook a few links to some pretty cool online games I just found today.
Man, that's so helpful. I think that's exactly what we need right now. I talk about it with the guys because, you know, when all of this kicked off, we jumped into doing the podcast as our way of sort of, you know, responding and giving benefit the way that we kind of felt like we knew how. But as we go on and on, I think it's really important not only to look to your strengths, but to listen deeply to what's needed. And you're 100% right. Like, producing more content right now in a place where we're information saturated isn't really what's, you know, going to help people the most. What people really need is opportunities to connect with the people that they love and be held through, you know, a tough time. So all the different ways that can happen, I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with our audience and everybody else. So it's been absolutely amazing to have you on, bro. I've really enjoyed listening to how you're taking care of this situation, how you're taking care of your kids. I'm really, really grateful to you. Hashtag Thankful Thursdays for coming on and sharing all of that and sharing your beautiful family with me, man. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've really loved chatting to you all. Missed you so much since we finished the map, but You're doing good work here. Thanks, everyone.
No worries.
Oh.
So that's it for us tonight. We're going to just request, like we always do, and it is a request. There's autonomy involved. You can choose not to like, share, and subscribe if you feel like it. But other than that, we're going to sign off tonight. So you stay healthy, world.